Well, hello and welcome to the Mindset Mentor and Saga 960. I'm Tania Kolar. You are in for a treat today. Oh my gosh, my guest has such explosive and dynamic energy. It's like going to shoot right out of the radio waves, and you are going to love this. So I want you to stay tuned for this entire hour. You do not want to miss a minute. So today we're going to talk about radically changing the body and your life by shifting your mindset. You know that your mindset is
Yeah.
absolutely related to everything in your life. It is so important, and you're going to learn the tools to really take control of your mindset. Let's cultivate a life we love. We know that our
Yes.
mindset, right, is like a muscle. We need to strengthen and condition it, just like working out those abs, those biceps, those triceps at the gym, right?
That's
Which we don't necessarily love to do because it's hard work and it's a sweat. But listen, when you work out your mindset, the rewards are
yeah.
unbelievable. And you don't even need to
Mm-hmm.
break out a sweat, right? So
Right.
I want to just welcome in my guest right away because he is an absolute expert when it comes to health and wellness. He's a health and wellness coach, but he's also
Yeah.
a professional bodybuilder. So, he's got
Yep.
some
Yep.
serious info on the body and the physiology that goes along with all of that.
That's right.
And he is also a leadership and innovation speaker. Actually, he's got an
Mm-hmm.
amazing program called Rush Nation Fitness and Life Changing Systems that we're going to learn all about in this hour. So let's say hello to the one and only Clyde Rush. My friend, it is
Hey.
such a pleasure having you here on the show.
Yes. Hello. Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be here. This is going to be an exciting time. I just can't wait to jump into this and just help people change their lives just as quickly as possible. I mean, things are going crazy out there right now, but because it's going crazy out there doesn't mean it has to be going crazy inside here. So this is what it's really all about. Just some tools of the trade to help people get from where they are to where they really want to be.
Oh, that's so good because we get stuck in where we are, and we really limit
Right.
ourselves. And oftentimes it's just the barriers that we have placed. So those barriers don't really exist. They exist in
Right.
our mind, and it's so important for us to now start to take control. And I think the
Mm-hmm.
global climate that we've now found ourselves in, given the pandemic, is that this is an opportunity. It is an opportunity to see what was not working for us in our life and now
Right.
making the shifts. And sometimes, Clyde, those
Yeah.
shifts are really uncomfortable. People don't know how
Mm-hmm.
to start with that. So let's talk about,
Sure.
what are some of the micro steps that we can take to really give us a head start to change our life, to radically change our life. Because those radical changes, they begin with a small action.
Exactly. The simplest thing is, I mean, we have a decision, we have a choice that we have to make. More often than not, it's the choices that we have. But the key thing with a choice is making a decision. And oftentimes we sit there between the two trying to figure out what's going to be this and what's going to be that. But while you're standing there trying to figure out, you're not taking any action. The key thing with any change is taking action. And that's the whole thing about it. We don't have to have all the answers to it, but we do have to recognize that where we are is not where we want to be. And when we're willing to step out of the place where we're comfortable, that's when we open ourselves up to grow. So we have to realize that we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and invite the
Mm.
change in. So again, like it is those little steps that we have to first take. And that first step is to step into that journey of the future of the unknown and be willing to go there. And when you go there, you find out that there's just so much more for you. It's so exciting. And, you get to see so much more that was already there. And then you're just like, why did I stay there so long? So
Hmm.
that's what we're going to talk about today, just changing the mindset, looking at things from a different perspective. I'm going to get as many tools as I possibly can, some suggestions, some things that actually work for me. And if it worked for me, it's going to work for you. The question is are you willing to make the change that you have to make in order to become the person that you're willing to become? That's
Oh,
it.
that's so good because yes, it is definitely a choice, and we need to be committed to that action to move forward and to be the next best version of ourselves. And I
True.
really truly love that you just said that if you can do it, then everyone can do it. Because
True.
oftentimes we look at people who are experiencing a great level of success in their
Mm-hmm.
life, whether it's a personal or career or both, and we
Right.
say to ourselves, well, that's wonderful, and I wish I I could have that. And you think that,
Exactly.
you know, you need to be born to have the
Hmm.
DNA of being successful, but that's absolutely, you know, it's a lie. It's a
Not true.
falsehood that we have believed to be true sometimes, right?
True.
So, you know, I want to talk a little bit about your personal experience for you, and so that people can really understand, because you weren't always where you wanted to be in life,
No,
right?
I certainly wasn't. And
Mm.
just like many people, you know, you go on a vacation, you go with the family, and you start taking pictures and pictures and pictures, and all of a sudden you don't pay attention to the pictures while you're taking them. But when you finally get back home from your vacation, from
Mm.
your reunion, and you take a look at those pictures, and you see yourself, and you're like, who who is that? And then that's the thing that happened to me. I saw a picture and I couldn't believe what it was that I actually saw. And I thought it was somebody else. And I had to really take a close look,
Mm.
because you know what happens? You get so comfortable being comfortable that you don't pay attention to the things that you're doing because you're just comfortable. So I picked up a whole lot of weight. And oftentimes, you know, because you're comfortable, you tend to eat. You know, sometimes you're disappointed, you're frustrated, you're not where you really want to be. Doubt and despair and fear starts to set in. And,
Mm.
you know, there's no rescue rope that comes to you, but you have to figure out that there's something that's going to happen. And that spark happens. And that spark for me was that picture. And I was like, no, I'm better than that. And I'm just looking at
Mm.
myself. So at that moment, I made the decision that I have to change. And then the next thing was what's the next step to change? Well, there's got to be a process to it. And the first thing was I have to get healthy. So my decision was really just a couple of pounds at first. And I mean,
Mm.
actually, altogether, I lost about 70 pounds I was about 250 pounds.
Whoa, 70 pounds. Okay. You know, I mean, that really means a lot. And I'm so glad that you're honest and vulnerable and sharing that, because 7 pounds, you know, to lose
Right,
7 pounds, that's a lot and that's significant. And we should honor ourselves and acknowledge those successes. But
right.
70 pounds, I mean,
70
that
pounds.
is truly massive. And that is a big shift. So
Exactly.
again, thank you for sharing that and diving deep. I think it really resonates with people, so
Hmm.
that they can really understand that that's right. If you can do it, then so can I. So
That's
you
right.
made that decision for yourself, and you said, you know
Hmm.
what, this is not who I want to be. I want to be a better version, and I'm going to take that action. So you started small. So what was the process for you? You started with a few pounds.
So the first thing was, again, like I said, making that decision. And
Mm-hmm.
after I made that decision, I had to hold myself accountable. So there's five primary drivers that actually drive most people.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is your beliefs. All right. And your beliefs create your emotions. Your emotions, well, actually, your beliefs create your thoughts create your emotions dictate your actions, and your
Mm.
actions create your results. So my thing was I had to find something, and I'll repeat that same thing just in case anybody forgot. He's like, what did he say?
I know,
I
but it's
said,
so good. It's worth repeating. It's perfect.
so so your beliefs create your thoughts
Mm.
dictate your emotions create your actions, and your actions dictate your results. So
Mm.
the first thing I had to do was to believe that it's possible for me to change. And you know, after you get to a certain period of time, a certain point in your life, you're trying to figure out, is it possible for me? So my belief had to first change into, yes, it is possible for me. If it's possible for somebody else, it's
Mm-hmm.
possible for me. And the next thing was, well, what does my thought process have to be? Well, what are the things that are going to make you successful at one, getting the weight off? So it wasn't about a diet, it was about a lifestyle change. When you think
Mm-hmm.
about a lifestyle change, you have to question the environment that you're in. You have to question your work. You have to question your relationships, question your employment, and question your financial stability. Because even if you want to just radically change, you have to have a few different things in place to be consistent with the thing it is that you want. So, environment. What was the environment that I was in? Was the environment conducive for growth for me? And if the environment was not conducive for growth for me, I had to create another environment. And you don't necessarily have to leave a place, because you can create an environment right within yourself. And I
Mm.
did that through meditation,
Oh, I love
finding my
that.
spirit. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So we'll delve deep into the meditation, because I do believe that meditation is a game changer, and
mhm.
can really help us, you know, drop away the external noise, so that we can
Yeah,
actually now tap into who we truly are, and it's a
exactly.
matter of remembering who we are, right?
True.
Not having to do and having to be something to achieve. You know, we all want results. We talked about
Right.
results, right? We all know that we want results. we have a goal. Sometimes we pretend that we don't want it because we believe
Right.
we can't have it, but we all know that we do want results, but we don't know the map to get there. So you've now provided us with the roadmap, because now
Mm-hmm.
when we start to break it down step by step, it now
Right.
does become easier. It's like those first few pounds, right? And then the results are the 70 pounds. So
Exactly.
it's huge, and it's so perfect to see that. And I think that through the process and through that journey
Mm-hmm.
of getting to the end result, we need to reward ourselves, right?
Exactly.
Because it's when you can reward those sort of micro steps that you take,
Yes.
we're releasing the dopamine right in the body, and that chemical reaction. We want
That's right.
more of that good stuff, right?
That's true. That's it. Get those endorphins released, and
Mm-hmm.
then the impossible becomes I am possible, and then you see yourself through visions that, well, what do I want to look like? What does that look like? And you see yourself up there, and because you see it, you can believe it. And if you couldn't believe it, you see it. It's like, it's possible for me now. What are the steps? Like what you just said. So you find somebody else who's already made the accomplishment that you made and emulate what they did. So I decided I got to enter a contest and hold myself accountable. So I said, all right, let me enter this contest. And all I wanted to do was win a shirt. I didn't want to win like I just wanted to win a shirt.
Yeah.
And, that was the first step for me to really commit to it. So I had to fill out a contestant form. And, now it's like it made it real, because we can
Mm-hmm.
sit there and hypothesize and think that we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But when you put your name on something, and I tell everybody, write down the thing that you dream about, or write down the thing that you want to focus on, because that's the first place from the mindset into this physical realm that we're in. And that's where that creation process starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was focus. So focus, follow one course until successful. Focus, follow one course until successful. So my first thing was into that contest. And now the next thing is what do I have to do now? I have to change the way that I'm eating. Not a diet, change the way that I'm eating, because diets come and go. And I didn't want to go on the yo-yo thing. You lose a couple of pounds a day, and next thing you're picking up 20 pounds because it comes back. So my mindset had to change, and I had to change my environment and what it was that I was thinking about myself, my emotions. Because now, what we tend to do is when our emotions go up and our emotions go down, we tend to eat. We tend to binge. The bag of chips or the cookies or whatever that feel-good thing is, like he was mentioning, dopamine. When we get those endorphins, sometimes that pleasure thing that we look for in our mindset, we find it through food, because we're so disappointed. We're so frustrated in ourselves that we kind of get down on ourselves. But I said, I have to stop that. So you have to get control of your emotions. And your emotions are preceded by your thoughts, and which is preceded by your beliefs. So you put those three things together, and then the next step is to take some action. So I had to make sure I was in the gym, and not just being in the gym, but to find out what I really need to do to radically change my body. I already made the mindset to change radically. Now the physical part of the body has to follow suit, because what happens is habits tend to form into the body. And now what I needed to have the body do was follow the mind instead of having the mind follow the body.
Oh, deep. Love that. So good. But it's interesting, in listening to that. I mean, it's quite a process. And I want to understand, like, for you to make that shift. I know it started off with you had to make that choice and a commitment to yourself that you were going to do it, take the action, be accountable. But, was it difficult? I mean, it sounds like, it's still a process. I mean, and how did you keep yourself accountable during that whole process?
Well, here was the thing. Again, like I said, my dream was, I'll share this with y'all because I'm gonna be transparent with, but don't tell everybody this. So
Okay, all right, just everybody listening. All right,
everybody listening. So I was always looking at muscle fitness magazines and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bill Haney and Lee Haney and all these guys, and I figured one day I always wanted to walk across the stage. So it was always like a little hidden thing. But I said, well, let me enter this little contest first, and if I win this T-shirt, then I'll take the next thing. Wow. And I had a few friends that was doing some bodybuilding, and it was like, hey, listen, if you're really committed to this, let's work out a meal plan. Let's figure out a workout schedule and commit to it. So I said, all right, you have to make your mind up. And in that decision, you got to stick to it, because now the comfortable part of yourself starts to really say, hey, you don't have to work out today.
Mm.
And, we could do this tomorrow. We go ahead and get that box of cookies and, a bag of chips. And, those old habits start to come back up at you and your ego starts to eat at you. But you have to turn the volume down on the ego and turn yourself up on the mindset that you now have. And you have to facilitate that daily. Not every once in a while, but every single day. Just take a little step, like you said at the beginning, and take another little step. And the next thing you know, those steps turn into a little jog. And that jog turns into a little run. And then some people end up joining these marathons and they run for miles and whatnot.
They are unstoppable. Yeah. But I think
Exactly.
it's so good because we can all, really advance to the next level if we can just get out of our own way. And it's the negative thinking, it's the beliefs, the poor limiting beliefs that we've had, for decades.
Exactly.
So we need to replace those bad habits. And so by taking those actions every day, not just once in a while, we now can create those new patterns and a new habit. So it becomes a lifestyle versus just, again, like a reactionary moment in time.
Exactly. And that's the key thing. And, you happen to say it, it's really about being consistent. And that's one of the things that the body really needs is consistency. So as long as you're doing what you need to do consistently, like I said, maybe my situation was a little bit radical because I'm not going to say everybody's going to jump up and just drop 70 pounds or get rid of it. And the reason why I don't say lose is because you tend to find what you lose. So I say get rid of.
Okay. Got it. I got it. Yeah. That makes sense. We don't want it back. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want it back because you find it sitting around the corner with your name on it saying, hey, I was waiting for you. So, but, again, it's just committing to the process. And like I said, like you said, it may seem a little challenging in the beginning, but the belief and the power of the belief and to keep the vision on what's possible for you. And each day, just do a little bit more. So maybe today I was only able to run for like maybe a walk on the treadmill for 5 minutes. And those 5 minutes turn into 6 and 6 turns into 8. But the key thing is to start. Don't just look at the treadmill, get on it, and turn it on.
Yeah.
And then maybe that might be your win for the day. That's your win, and then tomorrow you may decide, okay, let me get the belt going. And it's like, hey, it's not as bad as I thought it was. And each day you just incrementally go up a little bit more and a little bit more, and your confidence builds. And it's a sense of accomplishment that I did do something that I wasn't able to do before. And what else can I do? And then you find that there's so much more. And it's not just this, it's my relationships. It's things at home, it's at work. It's how do I get my finances in order? How do I get that house? How do I become articulate? How do I do the things it is that I always thought was possible for me? Just because you decided to step on a treadmill, change your whole paradigm because you did something that you normally wouldn't do. And you just go on this cascade of events.
Yeah, I love that because it's like how you do one thing is really how you do everything in life.
Exactly. Exactly. That's my favorite saying, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Fantastic. Perfect. Well, it's interesting. When you were talking about, getting on that treadmill, maybe just turn it on, right?
Right.
I remember getting back into working out. I've gone through my phases where I got, really committed, and then I went through a phase where I was absolutely not committed. There's no way I was going to the gym.
No, not you.
Yeah. And so I started to get back into the gym, and there was, I forget what it's called. It's kind of like a stepper, that climber. It was a climber kind of thing, right? Yeah. And so I did it for a minute and I was out of breath. I was struggling and I was I was like embarrassed. I'm like, it's 1 minute. I can't even handle 1 freaking minute.
Exactly.
Right? And I'm like, okay, well then I'm going to push it and I'm going to do 2 minutes and I'm going to be really completely out of breath. And I'm, I'm struggling through, but I'm going to do it. So I did the 2 minutes and then I started to build it up. So I would add another minute or maybe I could add 2 minutes. By the end, I love that machine. I was doing 45 minutes like a pro. And I felt amazing. I really felt amazing. And I always remembered that moment of I only used to do this for 1 minute. So every time I passed 1 minute, I patted myself on the back and said, good job, keep going.
That's right. See, that's your win. And the whole thing, what it is again, it cascades into other things in your life. And you remember back, just like you're talking about now, and I can see your energy just popped up and the sense of accomplishment and the pat on the back, the hey, girl, you did it. 2 minutes, and then you're on there for 45 minutes, and
Mm.
you're like, hey, I got this, and does anybody see me? And it's like, yeah, ha ha ha. But again,
Yeah.
that's those
Yeah.
endorphins that are being released, and your body
Mhm.
is radically transforming from the inside out. And then you start to see the physical appearances of the transformation, which encourages you even more and gives you even that much more confidence. And people start asking you, hey, what are you doing? It's like,
Mm.
well, I changed my mind. I changed my life. And from there, you just go on this whole event. So
Oh,
it's all
it's
about.
such a beautiful thing. And I also want to talk about other people. You just brought up how other people will notice that shift and that change in you.
Right.
And I want to talk about the people in your life because as we're radically changing our lives, it's
Right.
sometimes difficult for the people around us to be able to handle that, right? Because you're a constant reminder of, oh, where maybe they want it to be, but they can't be, or they think they can't
Yeah.
be. And you bring
Mm-hmm.
up all kinds of beliefs in them and it's projected onto you
Right.
in a negative way. Although they may
Exactly.
really, truly have the best intentions for you, but
For
there's
the
that
most
little
part.
green monster inside going, I'm not
Exactly.
going to be happy for you because I want to
Mr.
be there.
Ego.
Ego, yes, totally. So what was
And
some of the reaction around your life when you did make that huge shift?
so again, back into those relationships, because you have
Mm-hmm.
your family, you have your friends, and the things that you used to do, the places that you used to go. When you decide to make a lifestyle change, those places are no more. I used to
Mm.
love, I mean, I still do love pizza. I mean, yeah.
My favorite. I love pizza. Yeah.
Yeah, see that pizza. I
Yeah.
was like, oh
Oh
my
my God.
God, the corn is
Mm.
Sicilians, and just whatever pizza. But I was like, you know what? I got to make a sacrifice.
Mhm.
And, again, I just mentioned about the family reunion, and you go to a family reunion, you eat. That's what you do. Your
Yeah.
family and friends, you're laughing. And it's like, you know
Mhm.
what? I'm making a change. So the first thing is usually your family because that's the nucleus, that's the closest to you. And it's like, yeah, okay, okay. So you may have some support, you may have some doubters, you may have some believers, but the biggest believer is you have to believe in you. Because what
Mhm.
happens for most people is when you go on this journey, more often than not, it's just you. And you
Mm.
have to be comfortable with that. You want the support from everybody else, but everybody else wants you to be where they are. And you have to find solace and comfort in the fact that, you know what, I love y'all, but I have to do what it is that I have to do for me right now. And I
Mhm.
appreciate your support. And if you don't, I understand that, but I still have to do this anyway. So your will has to emerge and your confidence in yourself has to exude up. And then you go out and, maybe some will come and maybe some won't go. But at the same time, you're on your journey. And it's a journey of discovery because you're really about to find out who you really are. And it's an
Mhm.
amazing journey.
Oh,
Amazing.
so good. I love that. I love that. And it can be difficult when the people around you are not going to follow you on that journey, but you will find new people on that journey who can help support you. But as you
Exactly.
said, though, the best support is yourself. You need to
Mm-hmm.
be your biggest cheerleader.
Right.
And because really at the end of the day, what other people think of us is really, as they say, none of our business, right?
Right.
But
That's good.
we have a tendency to really make it our business, right? It's like
Right, right.
breaking news.
I'm brand new today. Never mind that.
Exactly. Oh, that's such a good point. I remember years ago, and I don't remember specifically what the
Right.
situation was, but a friend of mine said, oh yeah, well, do you remember, you need to remember when you were this? And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. I said, well, you know what? Thank you. I said, but I
Right.
prefer to move forward versus the
Right.
staying stuck in the past, you know.
Exactly.
But I was shocked at that. But I understand where that was coming from. It's just,
Right.
again, it's a reflection of what's going on inside them versus
Right.
the other person.
Exactly. And it's true, oftentimes, again, people try to tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, remember you did this, remember you did that, and so on and so forth. But again, at that moment, it's also a reminder for you to say, yeah, that's what I used to do, but that's not who I am now. And
Yeah.
relate to that. Mm-hmm.
Because in every moment we're a new person. Like, at the beginning of
Exactly.
this, we're different people than we were when we started the show.
Exactly. I know, right? We just learn and
Right?
we're emerging, right? So
Yes.
that's it. That's what it's really all about. The emergence
Oh.
of self. Yeah.
Oh, so we're going to continue with more of the emergence of the self when we come back here on Saga 960. You're listening to the Mindset Mentor, and welcome back to the Mindset Mentor on Saga 960. My guest today is the amazing Clyde Rush. So much energy. Oh my gosh. Love it, love it, love it. So Clyde is
Yeah.
a health and wellness coach. He is a professional bodybuilder. And
Mhm.
also a speaker, so leadership and innovation. And I think that,
Right.
leadership is such an interesting thing because leadership also taps into the self, like
Yeah.
self leadership. I think self leadership is so key in having a life that you truly love. So
Right.
let's delve a little bit deeper into that, and how leadership can
Mhm.
sort of cross over all of that, and then your big purpose of inspiring people to live
Absolutely.
their best life.
Well, before you can lead anybody else, you got to be able to lead yourself. That's
Mm,
the first thing. And my whole thing was about self-development. I mean, even as a kid, there was this book called Dr. Faust. And I was a young kid, and it
mm-hmm.
was about this guy who actually made a deal with the devil. He sold himself to the devil. And I was like, why in the world would somebody do that? But it started me on my quest for human behavior and why people actually made the decisions and choices that they did. So I've always read, I was adventurous, wanting to know things and why people did the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So psychology. I was just, major in school, and I just wanted to know more about it. And then it was about, okay, you made that decision, but if you would have made this decision, what could have happened outside of what did happen? And would you make the same decision again, and understanding consequences? So again,
Mm-hmm.
as far as leadership is concerned, my thing was self-development. Let me develop me. Let me find out what are the tools that are necessary. So one of the first books that I read, as I was growing older, was Think and Grow Rich, and a
Mm-hmm.
multitude of different books and
Yep.
other people that were out there, and some of the self-development people. I always wanted to know the self-development field. What is that all about? And seeing people transition from where they are to where they really want to be. And I always felt like, I want to be one of those people. I want to just
Mm-hmm.
help people get from where they are to where they really want to be. Because whatever got you here is not going to get you there. It's going to require a different mindset. So what are those mindsets? And you have to figure out how to get unstuck and release or relinquish those old paradigms and those old thought processes that tend to keep you at bay. And sometimes, people need to be kind of sliced off a little bit. Sometimes people that you have in your life, they were good for a period of time, but sometimes you have to grow through what you go through. You have to grow through what you go through, you
Oh,
know?
oh, nice. I love that. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And that growth, sometimes it hurts, it's painful, but it's so necessary and essential, right?
Mhm.
And there's one thing that is constant, in this world is change. And I think
Yes.
we need to be more open to the change
Mhm.
and look at those circumstances that are not comfortable as
Right.
opportunities to release and free yourself from the
Right.
the chains of the past and those
Mhm.
limitations and the limiting beliefs. And I can totally relate, as you're talking about, those beliefs. I had a ton of limiting beliefs growing up. I
Mhm.
mean, I had deep limiting beliefs that I literally held on to for decades. And
Right.
it was it was so life changing when I could finally get past and understand. But I had to get to the awareness and understand,
Right.
first of all, well, what's going on and what's dictating my behavior.
Mhm.
So that analysis of behavior is so important. And I know that you studied psychology and forensic
Right.
psychology as well, I
Exactly.
believe, right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep. Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
So good. And there's so much to be learned. And so can we delve into a little bit of the science that's going on in the brain, in the mind, because some people think that, well, I can't learn something new. I'm
Right.
especially as an adult, you think, well, kids, they can adapt and they're quick and they learn everything. But as adults, we say, well, forget it. It's too late. And I
Right.
hate when people say that. It's like, no, it's never too late. So help us.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, here's the thing. Well, like you said, we have these old ideas, and
Mhm.
sometimes you just get so fixated on these pictures. And, we regurgitate the same image again and again and again. We have about 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And the
Mm.
majority of those thoughts are the same thoughts again and again and again. So we tend to relive our life again and again. You can live 75 years living the same day over, never really experiencing life. So the whole thing, what it is to recognize that there's just so much more inside here if you're willing to explore. And if you're willing to say to yourself, I just feel like there's something more, and go, coaching is out here. There's plenty of people,
Mhm.
myself, look at what your show is doing. And other people that are out here willing to help people. But the first person you have to be willing to help is yourself. So get out of the mindset that I can never do anything more, because you're going to get what you believe. The thoughts become things. And whatever you think about and you impress upon this formless substance out here is the thing that you're going to get more of. So I figure since you're going to get what you think more of, think the right thing and get more of the right thing than think the wrong thing and get all of that. So change your mindset, change the way that you think, change the way that you believe. And it goes back to those 5 things. What you believe, change your beliefs. Your thoughts will change. You'll empower your emotions. Your actions will change, which will create different results for you. It's those same things, and it's the same process for everybody again and again and again. So let's change our beliefs first. That's the first thing. What do you believe? And then why do you believe it? Because they said it, because of something that happened. So you hold on to that same thing because it validates you. And oftentimes we tend to play the victim role. And as long as we're playing that victim role, we want people to feel sorry for us. We feel sorry for ourselves, and we stay in this place of condemnation again and again and again. Next thing you know, 2 years go by, 3 years go by, 5 years, 10, 15, 20 years, and half of your life is going by, and you're still in the same place doing the same thing. Nothing ever changed. So be open to change.
Yeah, that change is so necessary and so important. Again, that victim mentality, it's the ego taking over, because it's like, yeah, everybody has, I was right because everybody's done exactly what I thought, for
Exactly.
me, everybody did me wrong. We place blame on other people.
Exactly.
And that's where the victimhood comes into place, because we sometimes get that validation or significance from those moments, and we don't know, or it feels uncomfortable and unfamiliar to step beyond that.
True. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Push. And, so we do need that push. And that thing with it is that, what, sometimes, unfortunately, we don't really change until we hit rock bottom, until tragedy or because of a situation or circumstance comes, and then it propels us forward, or the perturbation process where things get so hot for you that you conformed or transformed into something new. But we have the volition and the choice to make a decision without all of that stuff. It's just that we've learned how not to do it. And because we've learned how not to do it, we accept that as the end all be all. And we could change instantaneously if we just choose to. The thing about it is, it goes right back to having a choice in one hand and having a choice in the other. But it makes no difference how many choices you have. It's about making a decision on one or the other. And when you decide to be more, you decide to do more, you decide to have more, you allow yourself to give more. And when you allow yourself to give more, that's this cycle of motion where you're giving and you're receiving, and you're giving and you're receiving, and everybody else's lives are starting to change because of the giving part. So find something that you enjoy doing and then start to serve people, help somebody else. That's one of the things that's really important.
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love that. Because I do believe that there is, magic in helping others. You certainly help yourself when you help others. Sometimes I start out with my day, what is my intention? And my intention is, how do I serve?
Exactly.
And then, the answers will come to you. But I do think it is important, because it's also the natural balance of the universe, right? That give and take. And I know I've experienced it too, where I was like, I would never allow people to give to me. And then I realized, I had this epiphany that, I'm robbing them of the opportunity to give me something, whatever that is, an emotion, a feeling, anything, a cup of coffee, whatever. And I'm like, so I'm just going to start to now say yes, and to be more open to that.
Exactly. And the funny thing with that is it does open up other doors, because of the simple fact that when somebody's giving you something, we have to learn how to receive. And sometimes that's something that's actually a little deep rooted within ourselves, where we don't feel like we're valuable. We don't feel like I'm qualified, or we don't feel, like I should get that. I'm not worthy. That's one of the biggest things, to feel like I'm not worthy of somebody giving me something. So we repel it, but we're actually preventing that person from doing their giving, and they just trying to do something nice for you. So the real question is how deep is this situation, and how you devalue yourself, and who's the one that started that? Because whatever that belief is, you're still holding on to it. And thank goodness you got rid of it, because you started to receive. And look where you are today, because you said yes to somebody, and somebody said yes to you, and bang, I'm here.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the amazing part in life that there's always a reaction to any of your actions. There's something that's going to unfold. It's all this energy exchange.
Right.
So, everything has the consequence, and sometimes
Hmm.
good, sometimes not so good. So,
Exactly.
even
Yeah.
that's for me, I find words and language. I love your take on that, and how important our language is, because you put
Yes.
something out there, it's out there, and it
Exactly.
lives out
It's
there,
alive.
right?
It's
Yes.
energy. Yep. And that's the key thing. We have these levels of energy that we have within ourselves. And when we talk about the universe is energy. We are part of the universe. We are one. There's no separation between the two.
Yes.
And when you can allow yourself to, ooh, get me all warmed up now. When you get yourself to tap into that energy,
Love it. Mhm.
yeah, then that's the greatest thing, because now you get into this vibration. And when you start to move into that vibration and you start to understand, everything in the mind is frequencies. So once you start to understand how these frequencies operate and my moods, do I feel good? Do I feel bad? What am I sending out? A person can walk into a room and that vibration is either good or, oh, I think I better stay away from that person. Or you walk into a room and because of your presence, because of your confidence, you exude so much. People feel like, hey, who just came in the room? And it could
Yeah.
be a room full of people, but because your energy is dynamic,
Mhm.
this magnetism, people start to feel you and your presence. You just wave in through the room and you just stepped in, but I know
Nice.
you have that. You don't have a problem with that kind of
Oh,
stuff.
well, definitely. I mean, that's why we're gelling over here, right? I mean, your energy
Yeah,
is
right.
amazing. And listen, I'd rather be the person that has people drawn to you in a room versus people who clear out of the room when
Who
you walk in,
repel? Yeah,
right? So,
exactly.
and we've all had our moments of, not feeling amazing and not feeling
Right.
great. But I think through the years, I certainly have learned that, I keep those moments very minimal. If I'm
Yeah,
going to be upset or I'm going to be angry, it's like just, it's a moment versus, a decade.
yeah. That's true.
Right? Because you're
Right. You're
really
right.
hurting yourself when you hold on to all of the anger, and really anger is hurt. It's like anytime I see
Exactly.
someone who's really suffering, with any
Hmm.
emotion, it's really there's something deeper underneath, right? That's the
Definitely.
cause of that.
It is. And you said the key thing. And we have these different things, we have these moves that we move in and out of. And, sometimes we allow ourselves to be angry. And when we become
Mm-hmm.
angry, we're operating on a lower vibration. And it's really important to say, hey, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
How do I feel in this moment? And we have to have these, I call them little barriers, but the barrier is really a catchphrase. So as soon as you feel yourself sliding in, sliding down, you
Mm-hmm.
have to say, hey, listen, enough. And I mean, really, that enough has to be so vocal that it stops you from the slide and it puts you in that position to recalibrate and reignite and elevate yourself again. But you have to have a catchphrase or a buzzword or something. It's another one of those tools, put it in your toolbox and
Okay.
just, find something to say to yourself that's just a trigger. Like, something is not right. And it's just a stop or no or something along those lines. That's just
Mm-hmm.
that trigger for your mindset. I mean, we have this cognition that's actually going on in our head and these stories that are actually happening inside there. And when we talk about the neurological part of the brain and all those different elements as far as neurons, and we can talk about the gut health and all that other kind of stuff that's actually going
Yes.
on,
Mm-hmm.
then it's really important to understand what we eat is what we think, and what we think is what we eat. So it's important to understand the
Mm.
dynamics about how food processes and the impact that it has on our brain, and the
Wow.
choices and decisions that we make as well. So,
Yeah, that's such a good component because I think a lot of people, take that out of the pie, right? So they're not, and it's
mhm.
like the missing elements. And if you can get that all into balance, things
Right.
now can start to gel a little bit more. And it's so interesting. So you talked a little bit about, what's going on in the mind and, the gut, and there's the neurotransmitter. So there's always
Exactly.
communication happening, right?
Exactly, exactly. And it's really important to recognize what that is. And more often than not, because, it's one of those things that most people don't talk about, we tend to go a good portion of our life and not recognize. But because of what you're actually doing here and because of the people who are actually listening, they have the opportunity to find out that information, which may be the missing link. Even if it's one person whose life is radically changed because of
Mm-hmm.
what they happen to hear today, they're going to tell somebody else. And then the other person going to tell somebody, well, this is where I heard it. I heard it on Tina's show. And it was, hey, it was this, this Tania show, this thing was really crazy. And it's like, wow, well, tell me more. And now all of a sudden, you have thousands of people who will come into your show. And it's like, wow, Tania's show is really on the money. I like that. I learned something about myself. And now you're on the road to discovery. And you find out how worthy you are. You find out how valuable you are. You find out that you have something that you can contribute. You come into alignment with your purpose and your reason and destination and for being here, all because you sat still one moment and decided to do something different, which was listen to something that you never heard before that changed the course of your life in that moment because of something that you did, was just say yes. So it's all about being in the right place at the right time for the right person in the right moment to become whomever they decide to be, because we're all destined to do something great, but we have to search the inner part of the mind and find out what that greatness is. And then by all means, dig, discover inner greatness, dig, discover inner greatness, go inside here and see what's going on.
Oh, I love that. It's so good. And you
Mm,
know, we are all truly meant to live that extraordinary life.
right.
And I know I certainly also believe that, you know, we learn so much from each other. And it's
Mm-hmm.
those words that you hear at the right time. So
Right.
anybody listening right now, you know, if you just listened right there to Clyde Rush's beautiful words, you're meant to hear those. Those words are for you. Take
Mm-hmm.
them, listen to them, digest them, and take some action, you know, to make
Right.
your life richer, better, and more fulfilled. I think
Mm-hmm.
the importance now in the world, and I think a lot of people now are starting to understand how important it is to live a purpose-driven life, a life
Right.
that has meaning, a life that feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's so important to learn from the challenges. And of course, we're in a global pandemic where, you know, a lot of people are struggling, and
Right.
unfortunately, you know, some have lost their lives because of the pandemic.
True.
But there's always beauty, even in the biggest tragedies in life. And it may take a good long time to really understand what those are, but it's so important to explore that. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, delve a
You
little
know, at the
deeper.
top of the show, you happen to mention, you know, being in a pandemic. Now, everybody's going to process the way that they process because
Mm-hmm.
of how they've learned, and a lot of the things they're going through is a
Mm-hmm.
learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity, and I know there were lives that were lost, and you know, unfortunate for those lives that have
Mm-hmm.
passed on, because we don't ever want to see anyone lose their life under any circumstances, but for any
Absolutely.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, to realize this is an opportunity for you, the individual, to do. I mean, people are working from home, and people wanted to work from home forever. And
Yes.
everybody's working from home now, right? So you got what you asked for. So now it's like, how do I turn opposition into an opportunity? How do I turn adversity into an advantage? And it's all inside here. You take what's going on inside this mind and clear intention with something that we call an elevated emotion, and you put those two things together, and the world will open up. I mean,
Oh,
it is,
yes.
you just go on this thing. So this is the time for it. So I know you got to do what you got to do, but this is the time. There's no other time like this time right now to become who you see yourself as. This moment, this time, this day, in this period. So that's it.
Opposition to opportunity. Yes, the greatest opportunity is right there for you, my friends.
That's right.
We're gonna take a break, and we're gonna be right back here with more of the Mindset Mentor with my special guest today, Clyde Rush. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Okay.
Well, hello, and welcome back. We are continuing the conversation here on the Mindset Mentor with the absolute extraordinary Clyde Rush. I'm telling you, you know, your energy is truly just amazing. You
Thank you.
have this ability to just you know, make people feel comfortable and relaxed, and this energy around you is what you carry into not only, you know, the people around you, but into the world,
Yeah,
into life. And I think that it's so important for us to really recognize how we impact each other on a daily basis. Those little
exactly.
exchanges or the big exchanges, right? But they have such
Hmm.
a huge impact. So today we're talking about radically changing the body and
Right,
your life through a mindset shift.
right.
And I want to really delve into some of your programs. You
Okay.
are on a mission to change the world, to help people really
I
get
really am.
control of their mindset and live a life that, you know, feels good, that is
Yeah.
their best self, right? So let's talk about Rush Nation and also your life-changing systems.
Okay. So we'll start with life changing systems first. So life changing system came about basically because of mishaps that I was going through in my life, challenges,
Mm.
you know, situations and
What? You had
circumstances. Can you
mishaps?
imagine?
Have you
I had
died?
mishaps. They were small, but I tripped over them.
debilitating mishaps.
Exactly. Yeah, I
If
mean, I
truth be
went through
told, yeah, full transparency.
I wasn't always this guy you see in front of you,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
This came about through some challenges, confrontations, situations, and circumstances that I thought I would never get through. But then, like I said, I picked up that book and I read the Bible as well, and just, different things that I thought was going to edify and radically change my life. But I had to get stable first and just realize, you know what, this thing up on top of my head, it does something, but I got to figure it out. And then I started really figuring it out. I started reading these different books, Wallace D. Wattles, The Science of Getting Rich, and Think and Grow Rich, and, the Game of Life, and all these other different games. Yeah, I know,
Love
right?
it. I love all these books. Yeah, Florence Scovel Shinn. Love The Game of Life.
Exactly.
Oh,
I said it
so
because
good.
I felt it. So I started reading all those books, and I was like, okay, let me start trying some of this stuff. It's not just about, see, here's the thing. People can read a book and it just becomes shelf space up on a shelf, but you got to apply that stuff that's in the book. And it's in there because if it worked for one person, it's going to work for you. So duplicate it. It's all duplicatable. So my thing was, hey, listen, once you start to get the sex, that's why I said, grab a pen and write down what your thing is. Don't just put it in your phone. Don't put it in a laptop or computer. Literally write it out. I mean, it's magnetism. It draws something magical about this. And people just, they don't write anymore. Everybody texts and forget about writing. But this is an ancient art. I'm telling you right now, it's an ancient art. But at the same time,
you learned it right here on the Mindset
right.
Mentor by Clyde Rush.
Tell them about it. Yeah. So I figured out things were started to work for me, and I said, okay, so if it's working for me, I want to share this and let other people know. So I built this company, Life Changing Systems, which is about overcoming your adversity and oppositions, overcoming your fears, false expectations about reality and what actually worked for me. And I figured if it worked for me, then it'll work for everybody else. So again, I built my physical body on the same premise that I built Life Changing Systems on. I said, okay, listen, got to change the body, change the mind. And once you change the mind, the body will follow the mind instead of the mind following the body. What do I want it to look like? Get the vision of the future. How do I want this to look? So again, wrote it down and what the steps were for me to actually do, because I figured it had to be duplicatable and repeatable. So I started that way. And then I said, well, you know what? Life Changing Systems is good, but Rush Nation, that's my radio show on Monday nights. We party and we have a good time and whatnot. I just want people to get away from their stuff for a little while and just have a good time and dance around and have fun. And then it was like, okay, so what's the next thing? Okay, well, fitness. If I can get people to be fit and just tell them what it is that I did, then it's a contribution. And my whole thing was about, well, if I can serve as many people as I can serve, then I'm contributing to the change in the universe. Mahatma Gandhi said, become the change that you're looking for and you'll always find it. So I was like, I think I'll become the change that I'm looking for, and then I'll find it, but I'll also help other people along the way. So my commitment was just to having people live a better quality of life. You don't necessarily have to get bodybuilder ready, but get mindset ready. Elevate your mindset, change your mindset just a little bit from some of the things we speak about in Life Changing Systems and, Rush Nation Fitness and, just putting things together. And even the workout programs that we have, there's a moment during the workout where we meditate, we slow things down, get your breathing under control, speak a couple of things to yourself so that you can really relax and move from what's the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system to reduce the cortisol levels and kind of get control of those different biochemistries in the body and experience a great time while you're working out and elevating your mindset at the same time. So there's some dynamics that work within. Some of that stuff is really on a secret side, but at the same time,
not so secret anymore. Yeah,
I know, right? I thought it was, but that's pretty much what it's all about. It's really just about helping people become the best version of themselves with a simple system. That's it.
Yeah. And I think that's so key though, because oftentimes that's just what we're missing is the help, right? And it's there, it's accessible to everyone. You know, we don't have to all go out and change the world, right? To have that better life. It's those small things that you can do for yourself. And I love the idea of, so the Life Changing Systems with Rush Nation. So the movement, even music, fitness. So physiology, changing the physiology in the body, right?
Kinesiology as well. That's it. That's what it's all about. It is movement. And a lot of people just don't understand. So, I have to shout out Rush Nation. What's going on, folks? How y'all doing? Got the committee, Rush Warriors, get the
Yes.
whole team. And the thing what it is just to be able to say, hey, listen, you know what? We're a conglomerate and we can move together, and let's just get everybody unified. Everybody just move together. And sometimes, like I said, the simple thing is just taking that one step, and that one step leads to another step. And then you find some other people who will gravitate towards you. And then you got this inertia thing going. And then you have momentum going. And everybody's like, where are we going? That's the growth. When it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about the we. Now we all working together and we have fun. And that's really what it's all about. Just having fun while we learn how to live life on the next level.
Beautiful synergy, going on, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I truly love that. So you touched on meditation as well. So for you, how long have you been meditating, and like, how do you incorporate it into your life? Because I truly believe meditation is a game changer for me.
Yeah.
When I started to incorporate meditation, it was completely different. I feel like it's like a different world going on,
It
right?
is.
I'm a different person.
Well, you know what? For me, early on, I think the meditation part, it was a misnomer for me, because I was like, meditation? What? Come on, what's meditation? And then I finally realized, like, the very first time that I really went into just deep meditation and I learned how to turn the five senses off, because that's really what it is. It's not about smell, hear, taste, touch, or see. It's really just detaching from everything. And you find yourself, it's not about time, because time isn't relative in that moment. It's just, you just are. And you go right into the present. And it was just stillness. And I thought it was only a couple of minutes. It was like 3 hours had went by. And I was like,
wow,
goodness, what is going on here? And you quiet the mind down. And when you quiet the mind down, it's an amazing journey. And then you start to empower yourself. And you can do this not just sitting still, but you can do it while you're walking, and learn how to really get into the different sciences of meditation through breathing. And even when you're exercising, just to calm the body down and be still. And in that silence, and get some direction and guidance, and tap into this universal energy. And when you can do that, it'll show you some things that you just like, for me, like, yes, for you. You get to step into this field of infinite possibilities. And when you're there, you get to write on the wall what it is that you want. And then it just opens up for you.
I love that. So the world has opened up for us here on the Mindset Mentor with Clyde Rush. And unfortunately, we are out of time. I wish we could spend all day together talking. You're amazing. I truly love your advice. I love your mission. And thank you for gracing us with your presence and wealth of knowledge today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you.
All right. So, and how can people find you?
Well, I'm on Facebook, the social media platforms. Everything is Clyde Rush, or Rush Nation Fitness, or Life Changing Systems. But either way, I'm on all the social media platforms. Clyde Speaks 2 is the email account, clydespeaks2@gmail.com. I'm just Clyde Rush. It's very simple name, CLYDERUSH, just like Rush Hour. Hey, and come on through.
Yes, I love it. Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for being here. So thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Mindset Mentor. Make sure that you continue to work out your mindset. It needs a little bit of help, right? You can do it. You just need to break out that sweat.
That's right.
All right. Tune in next Saturday at 11 a.m. It's my pleasure to have you, Clyde. And all right. So stay tuned for more here on Sauga 960.